historic hotels, beautiful buildings, boarded up, graffiti everywhere. I felt like I was back in Iraq in 2006 in February, except I actually felt a lot safer on the streets of Baghdad than I did at times in D.C. last night. Now, the aim of these criminal enterprises, including Antifa, but not limited to Antifa, is to undermine confidence in our institutions of government at all levels, local, state, and federal. These wanton acts of violence are part of a coordinated effort to eventually overthrow the United States government. It's well-funded, and it's well-organized on social media. No Twitter warnings, by the way, from Jack Dorsey, even though they seek nothing short of an overthrow of all that we love and believe in. An elimination of our Constitution, basically all of our rights, including the Second Amendment and much of the First. They don't care about George Floyd. They're using and abusing his memory to create more suffering and more chaos. It's like one giant video game to some of these folks. But their call to duty is one of annihilation of the country that we all love. Now, where did this all come from? I was thinking about this today and talking to friends and down the road and in D.C. You know, where did it come from? Why is there so much hate? The American people and law enforcement officers are overwhelmingly good people. It goes way beyond anger over the tragedies of Floyd and Trayvon Martin and Philando Castile. The genesis of this seething hatred began decades ago at our universities, and it spread like a contagion into all levels of learning. Radical professors attacking the ideals of Western civilization, and it's only gotten worse. Yesterday, check this out, one professor at the University of Alabama provided a tutorial on Twitter about how to pull down national monuments. And guess what? The tweet by Professor Sarah Parsak is still up on Twitter. And Jack Dorsey claims Trump's tweets are encouraging violence? This woman is a professor, and she's getting paid with the tax dollars that the University of Alabama gets. And by the way, universities are teeming with America-hating indoctrinators like her. And not only will she not get fired for that, she'll probably get an award at the next faculty meeting. The finest colleges in the nation are producing America-hating agents provocateur. Like this aggrieved Princeton and NYU law school grad, Collinford Mattis. He was allegedly behind the wheel of a tan minivan as his passenger, fellow attorney and Fordham Law School grad, Uraj Rahman, when she threw a Molotov cocktail into a police cruiser. Hateful, anti-American poison is also spewed in some of our churches as well. Who can forget Obama's pal, Reverend Jeremiah Wright's U.S. of KKK rant? But ultimately, this all comes from us, the people. How are we parenting our kids? Are we teaching them to love and respect everyone, no matter what race, no matter what ethnicity? Are fathers on the scene at all? Are we teaching our children to love or hate America? Are we teaching them basic right from wrong? Don't take anything that's not yours, even a penny. When we don't teach the light of God's love, we risk that our children and our country get sucked into the darkness eventually. And that's what you're seeing play out tonight. Now, I can't imagine that anyone with a brain or half of one would want to get mixed up with this crowd. Look at them. They're pretend privileged soldiers who would melt if forced to defend themselves. Ultimately, this is where strong leaders emerge to lead people away from the lawlessness, away from the darkness. Yet today, blue state mayors and governors have failed to act to contain the madness. Afraid to do so would be politically incorrect or somehow portray an alliance with President Trump. This is not about President Trump. This is about America, preserving her. And some media figures, by the way, have aided and abetted the chaos, portraying those driving the lawlessness as somehow justified in smashing, grabbing, pushing, beating, destroying, and yes, ultimately killing, they hope, the spirit of this country. They're portrayed like modern-day freedom riders, violating curfews and taunting National Guardsmen should be celebrated, apparently, in some media outlets. These news anchors, that's what you want to call them, they're taking sides with anarchists. That's how much they hate President Trump and ultimately the old normal, as they seek to replace it with, I don't know what, some type of new normal that's going to be great, peachy keen. They're willing to have the country burn out of their obsession with removing Trump from office. Well, that's not going to happen. Americans are loving people, but they've had enough. They've had enough of lockdowns, and now they've had enough of lootings. It's time to defend our founding principles: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We do this with respect for our fellow man, with our love of God, and our belief in the inherent goodness of mankind. And that's the angle.